Welcome everybody. Welcome to White City Place Connect, where we're offering occupiers of White City Place a live platform from which to learn and engage from the comfort and safety of your own homes. My name's Dora. Welcome to another Wednesday lunchtime yoga session. We're going to begin down on our backs, which is always a really lovely place to start, as the earth gives us so much information back about our bodies, what's going on with us today. And we'll start in what's called effortless resting pose. Bending the knees, placing the feet hip distance apart. Bringing the arms down by your sides. And just to release some of the tension around the back of the skull and the neck, we're going to press down vertically to the back of the skull and lift the shoulder blades vertically off the earth. You can feel the neck muscles tensing here. If this feels comfortable, uncomfortable for you in any way, please just place the shoulder blades straight down. We're tensing the neck muscles, sliding the shoulder blades down the back, and then releasing them back to the earth. And slowly rolling from point to point across the back of your skull here. Noticing any sensations as you pass from point to point. Perhaps there's parts that feel a little bit tender, parts where it feels really nice to linger. And notice the shape of the back of your skull. Is it perfectly round and smooth? Or are there some little bumpy parts here? Then come to rest at a single point on the back of your skull. Close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. Start to soften the muscles of the face, softening into the temples, and all around the hairline, just letting the skin on the scalp lose its grip on the skull. Backs of the eyes are soft and cool. And with the lips slightly touching, let the upper and lower rows of teeth slightly part. So there's a spaciousness that starts to arise within the mouth cavity that flows down into the throat, into the chest, down into the solar plexus and down into the belly. Soften the abdomen and allow the belly to gently rise and fill on each inhale. And drop back towards the spine on each exhale. So taking the breath down here into the pit of the belly, activating diaphragmatic breathing. The diaphragm helps to move the fluids through your body. It's gentle pumping action. And when we're not breathing diaphragmatically, then the heart is having to do all of that work. So as you inhale, just visualize the fluids moving from the chest down into the extremities. And as you exhale, the fluids wave back towards the heart and up towards the brain. So there's this rhythmic wave of fluidity through the body as we breathe. It's the movement of the breath and the diaphragm. Create a more efficient passage of fluid through the body. The movement of fluid through the body. Just adjust your feet now in the knowledge that we're going to lift the hips in a moment. You can press down into the feet, lift your hips vertically off the floor just a little bit as you inhale. As you exhale, soften the tops of your thighs and let your buttocks release. Press into the feet, lift a little higher as you inhale. Exhale, soften the tops of your thighs, let your buttocks release. Inhale, press into the feet, lift a little higher. This time keep your glutes lightly engaged, but without squeezing too much. They're naturally engaged here. Put the chin away from the throat to the back of the neck. It's flattening to the floor. And pull the weight into the inner edges of your feet. So there's this internal rotation from outer thighs to inner thighs. Taking a couple of breaths here. And then release your spine all the way down to the floor in one piece. Take a gentle rock of the knees from side to side. Just rolling across the back of the pelvis now. Noticing how this feels. And coming back through to the center, floating the arms up and over onto the floor behind you, palms facing up, and stretching the legs forward, flexing your feet. Take an inhale and stretch evenly through front, back, and sides of the body. And as you exhale, drag the right heel up the mat, hugging the right knee towards you, interlacing the hands over the front of the knee here. Keep the tailbone moving down. Chin towards the chest, softening the right thigh towards you, extending through the inner seam of your left leg. Let's take the right knee to point towards the right shoulder. Keep the right hand where it is and slide the left hand down the shin towards the front of the ankle here. Heel is moving towards the pubic bone and you're hugging the thigh towards you, slightly outside of the body. Relax the shoulders. Keep the breath flowing. It's an easy, rhythmic flow to your breath. Take the knee back to the center. Engage your core and float your left leg up here. Rock back, rock up to seated with the legs in the same shape. And then take the right foot to the outside of your left thigh. You take the crook of your left elbow around the knee and interlock the fingers here. So it's this position here, interlocking the fingers. So left elbow around the crook of the knee. Create a little bit of tension between the fingers to lift yourself tall. Keep the right sit bone down, left foot flexed. A couple of breaths here. And maybe even pressing your knee gently out towards the forearm or elbow joint. Come back around towards the front, interlacing the hands over the knee, and take the right foot back so the heel is in line with its own sit bone. Slide your left foot back, bring the elbows inside of the knees, palms in a prayer, pointing up towards the sky, and squeeze your knees towards your elbows and vice versa. So there's a little bit of tension there between the arms and the legs. Reach your fingers forward. We're going to start to roll down here through the spine. Just pausing when the shoulder blades are just off the floor, draw the shoulder heads away from the ears. Slide your left foot back towards you a little bit. And as you inhale, stretch your right leg forward. It's floating off the floor. Exhale, take the foot back to the earth. Inhale, left foot. Exhale. Inhale, right foot. Exhale. Inhale, left foot. Exhale. And then rolling yourself all the way to the floor, head to the floor. Reach your prayer up and over. And open up the palms of the hands towards the ceiling. Separate the hands. Draw the shoulder blades down the back. Stretch your legs forward. Take an inhale and stretch evenly through front, back, and sides of the body, spreading the toes. As you exhale, drag the left heel up the mat. Hug the knee towards you. Softening in the top of that thigh, lengthening forward through the inner seam of your right leg. Take the knee towards the left shoulder. Slide the right hand down the front of the shin. So it's resting just around the front of the ankle joint there. And the heel is hovering above the pubis as you hug your leg in. Slight external rotation. Relax the shoulders, face and jaw. And take the knee back, pointing towards the cheek. Engage your core, floating your right leg up here. Rock back, rock up to seated. And take the left foot to the outside of your right thigh. Right crook of the elbow comes around the knee, and you're maybe interlocking the fingers here. Create a little bit of tension to lift yourself tall. Press the knee out towards the elbow or the forearm. Couple of breaths here. And then as you float yourself around, take a hold of the knee. Release the foot so the heel is in line with the sit bone. Slide your right foot to the floor. Bring the elbows inside the knees, palms in press. Squeeze the knees towards the elbows, elbows towards the knees, lifting yourself tall. And then reaching your fingers forward, start to roll yourself down to the earth, just until the shoulder blades are slightly off the floor. Slide your right foot back a little bit, and as you inhale, stretch your left leg forward. It's floating off the earth. Take the foot back to the floor. Right foot, inhale. Exhale. One more time each side. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Roll yourself down. Take the thumbs to the floor behind you, hands into prayer. And then separate the palms face up towards the ceiling. Draw the shoulder blades down the back. And then softly start to drift the elbows down towards the lower ribs, keeping the backs of the hands on the floor if possible. And then the fingertips come a little closer towards the body. Set the feet in the knowledge that you're going to lift your hips again. We'll do that same 3-part to this Setu Bandhasana. Pressing into the feet, lift your hips a little bit. Inhale. Exhale, soften the tops of your thighs. Press into the feet, lift a little higher. And as you exhale in the fronts of your thighs, soften the buttocks, release a little bit. Press into the feet. Now at this height, you want to keep your glutes lightly engaged to support the lower back. Maybe you're going to walk your shoulders underneath you a little bit. Press into the feet to send the energy into the center of your shoulder blades. So you're taking the apex of the back bend into your upper back. Keep the weight pouring down into the inner edges of your feet and using your legs here to keep you lifted. Maybe the elbows come a little bit closer and you can interlace the hands. Maybe even make a fist. Use the upper arms to help you lift also. So there's an updraft through your thoracic spine. A little space running through that. All the way from the brain stem between the shoulder blades. So we lower the hips down now onto the forearms or wrists or thumbs, wherever they fall. So you've got this beautiful opening into the chest across the collarbones. Just pausing there, making yourself as comfortable as you can. If it's not comfortable, you can take the arms out from underneath you. Imagining that you've swallowed a coat hanger here. So you've got this shape through your shoulders. A couple of breaths, freeing up the diaphragm in this position. Just lift your hips, release the interlace. Allow the shoulder blades to spread as you settle yourself back down onto the earth. Draw your knees towards your chest one at a time and take a little rock from side to side, turning your head to the opposite side of the knees. Take the hands behind the backs of the knees and rock yourself up and back a few times if you like this, just moving the cerebral spinal fluid through the spine, massaging, waking up your back and spine. And then coming up here, feet to the floor. Take the hands behind you, fingers pointing forward, keep the fingers long. Curl the shoulder heads around a little bit, so just a gentle puffing up of the chest. Press down to your feet and hands, and as you inhale, lift up your hips, shoulders over wrists. Exhale, bring your sit bones towards your heels and bend your elbows. It's quite strong into the shoulder joints. Press into the feet, lift your hips and your shoulders over the wrists. Inhale. Exhale, bend the elbows. Sit bones move towards the heels. One more time. Inhaling, shoulders over wrists, tabletop. Exhale, sit bones to heels. And then we're going to bump the bottom to the floor. 1, 2, maybe 3, lifting the toes. And then take a little rock from side to side, just moving the flesh of the buttocks out to the waist so you can feel yourself moving towards the fronts of your sit bones. Toes angling back towards the shins. Raising your arms here. Root down to the sit bones. Lengthen up to the sides of your body. Take an inhale. Exhale, come forward, belly over thighs. Pull your heels back towards you. Even though they don't go anywhere, you're trying to activate the backs of the hamstrings and the glutes a little bit. Reaching out, lifting the thumbs as if you're dragging your heels back. And then floating the fingertips either onto the tips of the toes or the shins. Lift and lengthen. Chin slightly down. Keep that activation of your legs, dragging the heels towards the sit bones. And then sliding the legs forward. Reaching your arms up. Take your left ankle to your right ankle. Roll over onto your left hip. Curl the shins around and make your way over onto your hands and your knees. Bring the hips above the knees, the wrists underneath the shoulders. Bring a bit more tone to the front of the body as you lift the internal organs, and a bit more softness and spread to the back body. Slide on the top of your left foot. The top of the foot stays down here. Slide your right fingertips forward. They're still on the floor. Just make a little cup with your hands here. Lifting the inner thigh of that left leg up towards the sky. Lengthen so much of the inner seam of the leg that the leg rises up behind you, just to hip level. Now this is a subtle investigation, more of an internal movement, so you might not see or feel much happening from the outside. Lengthen your thigh bone away from your socket as you inhale, and then hug it back in. Lengthen the thigh away as you inhale, and exhale, hug it back in. One more time. Hug it back in. Slide the shin to the floor. Slide the hand back to the floor. Lift and round your spine. Come back into neutral. Walk your hands forward, another hand. Tuck your toes. Float your knees off the floor and come into your first down dog. You might be walking your dog here, easing into the backs of the legs. You might be still, just with the movement and rhythm of your breath. Lowering the knees to the floor, keeping your toes tucked, come to sit down on the heels, modified child's pose. If the heels are slipping outwards, just bring a gentle hug of the outer ankle bones towards one another. Coming back up onto hands and knees. Slide the hands underneath the shoulders. Flatten the feet to the floor. A little bit more tone to the front body, a little bit of softness and breadth to the back body. Slide on the top of the right foot so the metatarsal stays on the floor. Lift the inner seam of the leg. Slide your left fingertips forward, making a little cup with your hands. You've got a diagonal movement pattern here, moving away from the center. Right leg lengthens so much that it floats up just to hip level. So relatively square. Lengthen the thigh bone out of the socket. Inhale and exhale, hug it back in. So really supple, more internal movement. Lengthen the right thigh bone out of the socket as if you're making space there. And then hug it back in to stabilize. One more time. And slide the shin to the floor, slide the hand to the floor. Lift the navel round your spine. Coming into neutral, walk the hands, another hand forward, tips of the shoulder blades down the back, tuck your toes, downward facing dog. Spread the hands, make them feel 10 times bigger. Spread the weight across the metatarsals. Soften the elbows and turn the tricep muscles slightly towards one another. Couple of breaths here as you soften the heels towards the floor without the intention of pressing them all the way down. Soften the knees. Walk your hands back towards your feet. So you're going to be standing at the back of your mat with your feet hip distance apart. Let yourself hang here. Relax the neck. Relax across the base of your skull, letting your head hang. Knees are bent, and keeping the knees bent, can you give the legs the instruction to straighten? So they're not actually going to straighten, but just notice what happens when you give the legs the instruction to straighten. Let's come on to the tips of the fingers as you inhale. Lengthen through the spine, keep the chin slightly in. And exhale, refold, drawing the navel towards the spine. One more time. Inhaling, keeping the legs super activated. Inhale. Exhale, fold. So I'm going to come all the way up to standing. So come up slowly, using the legs. Turn the palms forward. Coming all the way up. Arms come up by your ears here. And then as you flow the arms down, just walk yourself more towards the front of the mat. Placing your feet hip distance apart. Reach your arms down towards the ankles. Take a rock towards the balls of the feet, maybe lifting the heels as you inhale, and then come back down. Just a couple of times here. Just playing around with the distribution of weight. And then in your next inhalation, coming up onto the balls of the feet. Arms are reaching up here. Soften your knees and start to come forward, hinging from the hips. Maybe the arms reach up behind you, drinking bird pose. So you're just dipping your beak here into the pond. Fingertips are your tail feathers. Float the fingertips to the floor, soften the heels to the earth. Let the crown of the head release down as you exhale. Inhale, lift and lengthen your heart, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, take a long step back with your left toes. Find the floor gracefully and lower your back knee down onto the earth. Pushing into the front foot, floating your arms forward and up. Melting the shoulders, hips come forward a little bit. We're going to keep the frontal pelvic bones lifted so as not to collapse or dump into the lower back here. Take a twist towards the right arm back, left arm forward. Squeeze the inner thighs towards one another. Open up the palms of the hands, shoulders above the hips as you breathe. Right hand comes onto the sacrum, so you can feel the support of your pelvis. Left arm reaches upwards. Think of lifting upwards more than backwards here. And then float the left fingertips or palm of the hand to the floor. Keep the twist. Reach your right arm back and up. Draw the shoulder heads away from the ears. Float your right fingertips to the floor. And as you exhale, lift your hips up and back. Lift the front toes. Inhale, make your way back into your lunge. So articulating the femur head in the socket and the hamstring. Exhale. Inhaling. One more time, exhaling. Holding it here. Walk the hands back so they're more or less underneath the shoulders and a little bit wider. Pull the shoulder heads down the back. Bend the elbows a little bit, but keep the length to the sides and front of your body. If you wanted more, you could take the right hand and keep it over the foot, over the ball of the foot, drawing the toes back here. Couple of breaths. And walking yourself back onto the foot. Lift the back knee. Let your right knee drop behind your right upper arm so that you can slide the foot back into a plank without having to lift the hips and drop them down again. Lift the inner thighs, keep the base of your skull lifted, soften the elbows, push the earth away. Lower your knees to the floor, flatten your feet, lengthen your tailbone, bring the shoulders forward and bend the elbows. So coming down here, a little press up. Slide the belly and the legs away. Tuck the chin in to bring the forehead to the floor. Roll the shoulders up by the ears, and then down the back as you pull the hands back, little baby cobra. Push into the hands, back onto the knees. Tuck your toes, downward facing dog. Couple of breaths here. Softening the elbows. Wrapping the shoulder blades around the side body. Sinking your left heel and floating your right leg up behind you, pressing the big toe joints away. Bend the knee, look into the space between the hands, step your foot forward. Come onto the fingertips, so you get a little bit more height to the chest, and glide your back foot forward to fold. Lead with your heart as you come all the way up to standing. Upper arms by the ears. Rise up onto the balls of your feet. Soften your knees, start to hinge forward. Drinking bird pose. Let the arms brush down by your sides. Maybe fingers fly up towards the ceiling, as if you're dipping your beak down into some water. Float the fingertips to the floor. Soften the heels to the earth, soften the knees at the crown of the head, release down as you exhale. Inhale, lift and lengthen your spine. Exhale, step long back with your right toes. Lower your back knee softly to the floor, push into the front foot, floating your arms forward and up as you inhale. Open up the arms, right arm forward, left arm back, so you're twisting towards the front knee. Squeeze the inner thighs, bring the shoulders above the hips. Left hand comes onto the sacrum, so you're feeling the support of your pelvis, fingers the same way as your tailbone. Right arm reaches upwards. It's more upwards than back here. Keep lifting the frontal pelvic bones to create space in the lower back. Float the right fingertips to the floor or the right palm to the floor. Reach your left arm up and vertical. Moves top arm, floats to the floor. Lift your tailbone, lifting your toes. And coming forward as you inhale. Lift the tailbone, come back as you exhale. 2 more times, moving smoothly, rhythmically to the rhythm of your own breath. 1 more time. Walking the hands back underneath the shoulders, maybe a little bit wider. Bending the elbows a fraction as you bow. Pull the heel back towards you. And maybe the left hand peeps over the toes, drawing the toes back towards the shin. Couple of breaths. Bring yourself back onto the foot. Lift the back knee, place the hips in plank position. Drop the left knee out to the side so you can slide the ball of the foot back without having to lift your hips and drop them down again. Press the earth away from you. Lower the knees, flatten the feet, tip the shoulders forward of the wrists, pull in the elbows as you drop the chest down. Slide the belly and the legs away from you, tuck your chin in, activate the feet. Roll the shoulders up by the ears, and as you draw them down the back, pull the hands back to extend the heart forward into space. Push into the hands, back onto the knees, tuck your toes and back into your downward facing dog. Couple of breaths here. As you sink your right heel, float your left leg up behind you. Look forward into the space between your hands. Step your foot into that space. Come onto the tips of the fingers. Glide your back foot forward to fold. Feet to hip distance apart. Snuggle the feet into the earth as you let the crown of the head fall down. And then leading with the heart, come all the way up to standing. Arms come up by the ears. Let's rise up onto the balls of the feet here. Bending your knees, keep the chest lifted. And then rock towards the heels as you reach out with the chest, Utkatasana. Float the fingertips to the floor as you exhale, lift your sit bones. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, step back with your left toes into your lunge. Bring the weight into the center of your pelvis. Make sure you have your stability with your legs. Lengthen the tailbone. Sweep the left arm forward, right arm back. Inhale. Exhale, you're going to change. Inhale. Right arm forward. Exhale. Inhale, left arm forward. Exhale. Inhale, right arm forward. Hold it here. Sweep the left arm down to lift the chest. Soften the back knee if you need to, and it helps to square the hips. Twist towards the right, opening up the palms of the hands. Right hand onto the sacrum, left arm lifts. Little twisted reverse warrior. Float the fingertips or palm of the hand to the floor. Keep the twist. Right arm rises vertically. Bend the front knees so the hips are a little bit lower than the head. And then taking the fingertips to the floor, start to lift the hips up and back, little hamstring stretch. Press down to the big toe joint here. Rebending that right knee, knee over the ankle. Spin your back heel in and down to the floor. Now before you come up, pull your right hip back in space a little bit. And just be careful that you're not lifting yourself here from your back muscles. So it's the legs that are helping you to come up here. So start by pressing down through your right heel, activating the hamstring and the glute. So the upper body could do whatever it wants to as you come up here, using the legs into your warrior two. Melting the shoulders. Take an inhale, reach out. As you exhale, take your right forearm onto your thigh. Left arm can rise or it can come over by the cheek here. You can do a little wiggle, a little circular action around your center of gravity, around the tailbone, and then in the opposite way. A little rotation. Then lengthen your sit bones, tailbone towards the heel as you reach out. Coming all the way up to standing, pushing into that front foot. Rise up, turning your toes in here. Turn the palms forward and reach out away from your center, reaching your limbs away. Spin the heels in a little bit, bending your knees. And start to angle the body forward until the palms face down. And if you wiggled your thumbs, you could just see them in your peripheral vision. Can you broaden the sit bones here so you're creating some breadth and spaciousness around the lower back? And then coming back to the center, turning the palms forward, lifting the chest. And spin the feet towards the right, warrior two. Palms are going to turn downwards. Take your back arm up and over, hands to the floor. Swivel up your back foot. And sweep the right leg up behind you as you inhale. Exhale, bend both knees as you curl to the center. Inhale, extend your limbs away from the center. Exhale, bend both knees as you curl in. Inhale, extend away. Exhale, step the foot forward in between the hands. Come onto the tips of the fingers. Glide your back foot forward to fold. Let yourself hang here for a moment. Maybe turning the head slowly from side to side. Then using the legs, coming all the way up slowly. Arms come out and up. You're going to rise up onto the balls of your feet, melt the shoulders. Keeping your spine relatively vertical, start to bend the knees, keep the heels high. And as you rock towards the heels, press the groins back, reach out, Utkatasana. Float the fingertips to the floor as you exhale. Inhale, lift and lengthen your heart. Exhale, step back with the right toes. Keep the back knee off the floor. Press down through the feet. So you have your stability here. As you inhale, right arm forward, left arm back. Exhale, changing arms. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, left arm forward. Right arm brushes down to lift the chest. Soften your back knee in this high lunge. Open up, right arm forward, left arm back as you twist towards the front leg, squeezing the inner thighs. Left hand onto the sacrum, right arm rises, reaching up. And float the fingertips or hand to the floor, sweeping your left arm up. Circle the left fingertips to the floor, hamstring stretch. Keep rooting to the left big toe joint, chin slightly in, so the back and sides of the neck and front of the throat are equally long. And re-bend that knee, spin the back heel in and down. Push into that front heel so you've activated the hamstring and the glute. This is what's going to lift you here. So the lower back is soft. We're not trying to lift ourselves from the spine here. Push down to the feet and just let the upper body be easy as it floats up into your warrior two. Turn the palms outwards. Take an inhale, reach out. Exhale, take the left forearm onto the thigh. The right arm can rise vertically or it can come over by the cheek. Take a little mini circular action with the hips around your center. And then in the other way. Lengthening the sit bone towards the heel, reaching out. Top arm is an extension of that back leg. And then pushing into that heel, rising back into a warrior two. Straighten at the knee, turn the toes in. Spin both heels out now, bending the knees. This time the arms come up by the ears. And you're going to angle forward here. Spread the sit bones. Roll the inner thighs towards the sky. Imagine squeezing the heels towards one another. Float the fingertips to the floor. Spin the heels out so the feet are parallel. Lengthen to the spine. Lift the navel and fold. Invite the weight into the outer edges of the feet. Maybe turn your head softly from side to side. And again, can you think of squeezing your heels towards one another, as if you're drawing your feet towards the midline. Soften your knees, take your hands onto your hips. Pull your hips off your waist as you come all the way back up to standing. Spin your feet around towards the left, warrior two. Float the palms out, float them down as if they're resting on the bank of your breath. And right arm comes up and over, hands to the floor, swivel up the back heel. Sweep your left leg up behind you into a three-legged dog. Take an inhale, exhale, bend both knees curling. Inhale, extend away. Exhale, bending both knees. Inhale. Step the foot in between the hands, come onto the tips of the fingers. Sweep the back foot forward to fold. Hanging forward here, let's just take a hold of the elbow points. So maybe take a little sway from side to side. Let your head and neck fully relax and release into the frame of your arms here. Release the grip on your elbows. Take the fingertips to the floor. Take an inhale and come all the way up to standing. Exhale, float your thumbs down towards your heart as you soften the focus of your eyes, standing tall. Take an inhale into your heart, exhale, release the arms down. Take a big wide breath as you reach up. Exhale, fly forward and touch the earth. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, step your left toes back into a lunge. Bring your right arm inside and reach the fingertips towards the corner of the mat, left front corner of your mat. Back heel comes in and down. Lean your right shoulder blade inside of the knee and maybe raise up that left arm. It's a nice long stretchy Parsvakonasana. Take your left fingertips back to the earth so the thumbs are touching. Keep pressing your right knee back a little bit. And then walk your hands to the center as you turn your toes in. Make sure your toes are level. Turning your left toes out, walk your hands across, side lunge. And place the left elbow inside of the shin as you press the shin away. Both heels stay down. Shoulders are square to the long edge of your mat. Push into the foot, turn the toes in. And walk yourself all the way around towards the right foot. Step back into a downward facing dog. Soften the elbows, couple of breaths here. Lower your knees to the floor, flatten your feet, lengthen your tailbone. Bring your shoulders forward over the wrist. Pull the elbows in, just hover the chest off the earth. And then slide the legs away to come down. Tuck the chin and activate the feet. Roll the shoulders up by the ears, down the back. Baby cobra. Press into the hands. And this time we'll come back into the child's pose. Big toes to touch. Come and sit onto the heels. Whatever you feel with your arms. And you might want to sway the hips over the heels. Making some space into the lower back. Stretching your arms forward. Come up onto hands and knees. Tuck your toes. Downward facing dog. Lovely. Sink your left heel. Float your right leg up behind you as you inhale. Exhale, bend both knees. Now you maybe take the right toes behind you. Swivel the feet so they're both pointing towards the short edge of the mat and both feet are flat. Right arm rises. Hug the left shoulder blade onto the back of the rib cage. Take the hands back to the floor. Swivel yourself around and slide the right shin to the floor. Lengthen your left leg away, keeping the toes tucked, and just lift the chest. Slide your right leg back into a high plank. Lift your hips up and back into a downward facing dog. Couple of breaths here. Just one more side to go. Walk your feet forward towards the backs of the wrists. Let yourself hang here for a moment, maybe taking a hold of the elbow points to bring a little bit of weight down through the spine. And release the grip on your elbows and come slowly all the way up to standing. With an inhale, as you exhale, drop your mind back down into your body, wherever you may have wandered. As if this is the first time you've stepped onto your mat, just let go of everything that's gone before, everything that is to come. Take an inhale, exhale, release the arms. Big wide breath as you reach up. Exhale, fly forward and touch the earth. Step back with your right toes into your lunge. Take the left arm inside and reach across. Back heel comes in and down. Lean the left shoulder blade inside the leg. Maybe raise up the right arm. Couple of breaths here. Find a position for your head where there's not too much tension in the neck. And float the right fingertips down. So maybe the tips of the thumbs stay touching. Keep pressing the left knee away. And then walk your hands through to the center as you turn your toes in. Turn the right toes out, so you keep walking across. Right elbow comes inside of the shin as you press it away here. Lifting back up, start to walk yourself over towards the left foot. Into your lunge. Sweep your left leg up behind you as you inhale. Exhale, bending both knees. Take the toes behind you. So you're going to spin the feet so the toes are in line, maybe coming into this back bend here. Hugging the right shoulder blade against the upper back. And then hand comes back to the floor. Left shin slides to the earth. Slide your right toes away. Keep the knee off the floor. Angle your body forward if there's too much compression in the lower back here, so you can just take the hands forward a little bit. And slide your left toes back into a high plank. Lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Lower your knees to the floor, flatten your feet. And take a child's pose of your choice. This is the transition now from the standing part of our practice to our seated part. We're going to move into a little series of back bends. And start to walk your hands back towards your knees. Have your knees not quite as wide as your mat, but nearly, big toes to touch. Spin your left hand around so your fingers are pointing away from you. And place the hand more or less in line with your tailbone. Press down through the shins, right arm rises. To begin with, you're thinking of keeping the hip bones square towards the ceiling. Shoulders squarish. If you want more, right hand comes onto the heart, and you spin the heart around as you look towards the back thumb. Again, hugging the left shoulder blade into the back of the body. Raising up the right arm and then releasing down. Take the right hand behind you, fingers pointing away. Press down through the shins, lift the hips. Arm rises vertically. This might be where you want to stay. Or the hand comes onto the center of the chest. Spin the heart around. Raising the arm up and release yourself down. Fantastic. Bring the knees together, sink the hips to one side. And take the feet flat to the floor in front of you. It's very similar, but a little bit stronger. Turn the left hand around, perhaps, maybe not for your own body. Adjust the feet in the lunge, you're going to lift the hips. And then rise up Right arm reaches straight up. Again, you can stay here or take the hand onto the heart. Spin the heart towards the floor with the hand and look down. Reaching the right arm up and release yourself to the floor. Change hands, the right hand comes to the floor. Press down to rise up. You can reach vertically up as if you're holding onto a rope. Or take the left hand to the heart. Spin the heart towards the earth as you look towards your back thumb. And reach the arm up and come down onto the earth. Well done. Take the feet together, quite close towards you. Wrap the arms around the fronts of the shins. Take a hold of the elbows or the wrists or the forearms, whatever feels good. And then just let your back round as your belly drops away from the thighs, chin to chest. Getting a broadening and a stretch across the shoulder blades, back of the rib cage, into the diaphragm, back of the waist. Slide the belly up the thighs. Release the hands to the floor. Walk your feet a little bit further forward. Walk from sit bone to sit bone, moving the flesh of the buttocks down to the waist. We'll come back here, flexing the feet, pulling the heels towards you. Activate the legs, raising the arms. Take an inhale. As you exhale, come forward over the thighs. Keep the thumbs lifted. Maybe you keep the hands or fingertips over the toes, draw the shoulder blades into their sockets. Holding it here. We're starting to stretch the heels forward. You can change the positioning of the hands if you wish. You might find that the upper body can release down. And if the elbows are bending with the feet tucked over the toes, you can make the legs longer by pressing the balls of the feet forward. As we get the stretch through the sides of the rib cage into the armpits. If you're much more upright, that's totally fine. Just be where you are. Couple more breaths here. Making your way up out of this. Bend the knees, feet to the floor. Come to bring your sit bones towards the heels and slowly lie yourself down here. Back onto the earth where we began. Wiggle the feet a little bit wider and rock the knees from side to side. Maybe turn your head to the opposite side of the knees as you do this. Come back to the center, wiggle the feet a little bit closer and hug the knees towards the chest. Just cross the right ankle over the left so the knees separate a little bit. Take a little rock here. And then change the ankle. Take another little rock. Cross your SI joints. Place the feet to the floor. Take your fingertips to the back of the neck and just give your neck a little massage here. You can make kind of little cuts with your hands, like little hooks here. So just working up either side of the spine towards the shelf of the skull, and you might just roll your head across the tips of your fingers here. There's some little pressure points just underneath those two bulbous parts of the spine. That might feel quite nice, or just lightly into the brainstem. And then sweep your hair upwards so you can release the skull to the floor. Lots of space and length there. Drift your arms down by your sides. This may be your Shavasana. Your back may want to just be here with the knees bent. You could take your knees over a bolster, that's also really kind for the lower back, or stretch your legs forward into full Shavasana. And just snuggle yourself down here, creating space in the joints as you lengthen the limbs away from their sockets. Close the eyes. This is the moment of letting go. Letting go of everything you've just done, any thoughts or feelings around your practice, and giving yourself these last few moments just to rest, to integrate, and assimilate all that you've done. Just begin to gently return to your body, to your breath, an awareness of your whole body lying here, its weight and contact to the earth. Perhaps take a few fuller inhalations as you prepare to re-engage with your day, and any little movements just to make sure you're back inside your skin. You could slide the feet back to the floor, bending the knees, or even hug the knees towards your chest once again. Before rolling over to the right side. The left hand onto the floor by your face, and use that hand to gently spiral your way back to a comfortable seat. bring your hands to your heart in prayer and bow your head towards the tips of your fingers. And gently open the eyes here. When you're ready, lift your gaze. Namaste. Thank you, everybody. Very gently.